Well, hello everybody. Happy Sunday and happy Mother's Day. A little bit of an earlier released episode today as I have plans to celebrate my mom for Mother's Day. As some of you may know, my mom is she's been a single mom for most of her life, and she's just one of the hardest working people I've ever known. And she still is like a phone call away when I'm feeling really down about where I am in my career, or maybe I had a hard day at work and I just don't want to work in the service industry anymore. She's one that can really just sit me down and say, "Hey, this is, you're in this. You're in the industry. You found work. You're meant to struggle, but the struggle is going to give you more character and really shape who you are." She's given me so many, chats about that, and give me a lot of really awesome pieces of advice to essentially work my way through this very unstable career that I have chosen, or maybe it's chosen me. So I do want to say, first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially those in the arts industry. We appreciate everything you do, and we do thank you for helping to support us in this very crazy career that we have chosen. And speaking of support, I just wanted to thank everybody else for listening to this podcast and helping just give some 5-star reviews so we get more viewers and more listeners, but also thanking you for tuning in, because this channel, this podcast, it is growing, it is reshaping to the point where I'm thinking about taking most of June off just to get some things organized. We have some sort of seasonal ideas that we're shooting for, and I have some live stream plans that I won't go into detail with right now, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I have a lot of people who are really interested and excited to do it. I just want to see how far we can take this thing, because at the end of the day, it's all about connecting with other arts workers, hearing their stories, and just essentially spiritually networking, if that's ever a thing. So now that that's done, let's get into this week's episode, the reason why you're here. So if you are listening to this episode, you're obviously a fan of the chilling adventures of Sabrina, Orphan Black, Hypnotic. Maybe you caught this week's guest on an episode of Supernatural years ago and have since, been a fan of everything she's done. This week's guest is an actor, a writer, a filmmaker. She's a spiritualist. I am sitting down this week with Lucie Guest, and she is just honestly one of the funniest people I've talked to. I think throughout this this interview, we had more laughs just based off of how the interview was going than anything else. But she shares some amazing stories about her experiences working and especially directing a film during the pandemic, finding this sense of spiritual awakening through a workshop in Bali, and also sending VHS tapes of her short films to Steven Soderberg, hoping to connect and maybe work with him someday, which I think she will. So yeah, let's get started on this, because this was a really fun episode to record. I can't wait for all of you to listen. Lucie, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And without further ado, let's sit down and chat with Lucie Guest.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. My name is Lucie, and I'm an actor, writer, and director.
Ooh, which takes precedence at the top priority?
Right now, it kind of shuffles, but right now it's acting, I guess.
Which that's a great answer, because usually it's I'm working on this or I'm working on that. But yeah, as we were just talking about, you were sending in a self tape. Have you just noticed a huge influx of jobs? Were you kind of lingering during COVID, or has it been kind of steady for you?
During COVID, I wrote a movie and then directed it. So that was sort of good for me. Like in the beginning of COVID, I did nothing. In the beginning of COVID, I was going through a breakup, so I was just like crying every day and watching, like emotionally cutting and watching like The English Patient and stuff like
Oh my god!
that. That's how I spent the start of COVID. And then I decided I pitched just sort of like a romance, like a rom-com-y type movie. And then they greenlit it during COVID, which was awesome because then it gave me something to do. So then I wrote it, and then I directed that one in Kelowna, which was awesome. It was a peak pandemic. They just had an outbreak, and it was 40 degrees. They had a heat wave at the same time, and it was so much fun.
Oh, wow. Did you manage to keep under your budget and keep on time for the shoot schedule?
I think the problem with that is that, like, a lot of the budget went to, PPE and, like,
Mm.
COVID stuff that I don't think yeah, I think a lot of budgets, have been altered after COVID just because a lot of money that you put into production design or other things now went to sort of COVID stuff. So yeah, I think you can tell a little bit, especially with it was like a sort of like an acquisition style of movie of the week, so it wasn't sold yet. So it has a lower budget maybe than the biggest network ones. So I think you could definitely feel. And also, we weren't allowed to have extras because, or they cut a lot of characters just because there's a fear of like, you know what I mean? It was like peak
Yeah.
COVID. You had like restrictions on how many people could be on set, and at one point we could all only walk in a circle. So setting up a scene took a long time because every department could only be on set at one time. So it
Oh,
could be
wow.
camera was setting up, and then they'd have to leave, and then production design would come in, they'd set up, and then everyone would have to leave, and then we do blocking, and then everyone would leave, just the cast. It was sort of like this strange world, but it was definitely it was good. It was great.
Is this
Great
the
to do.
Vineyard Romance?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
nice. Good
Woo, I got it
guess.
right.
Woohoo!
And that's been released already, right?
It has.
Okay. All right. That's one I still have to check out.
That
I
was and that I mean, we had one scene with extras, background performers, and they cut out all these extra characters. They're like, we can't have this many characters because of COVID. And then we had this party scene. I was like, well, it's going to be weird to have a party without any background
yeah.
and like empty restaurants. And then they decided we'd have like 10 background that we kind of like shuffle through and change their clothes so that it would look like different people. Um, but yeah, there was like strict rules. Like nobody could touch anybody. Nobody was allowed to drink any of the drinks. Everyone had to fake everything. It was, yeah,
Oh my god. So it's just you're kind of going backwards as far as training goes, where no, you have to
yeah,
pretend to
exactly.
sit the one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Yeah,
That sounds like an absolute nightmare, I'm not gonna lie,
it
especially
was.
coming
Yeah,
from a directing standpoint. I mean,
yeah.
compared to you directing then and possibly directing in the future, how you feel about your prep now moving forward? Do you feel like you've experienced all you can on a set and it feels kind of
I
okay?
think definitely. I think the
Okay.
COVID experience makes you, uh, yeah, it definitely helps you weather any other storms. I mean, I think that's what I like about directing is that you're constantly problem solving. Every day there's a new problem that you have to, an unexpected problem. There's always fires that you have to, all of a sudden you were going to shoot this location, and then all of a sudden the day that you arrive, something happened to it, like, or they're bulldozing the house next door and nobody told anyone or something, and you have to shift all of a sudden everything that you had planned and come up with something new on the spot. And I think that's probably why I like it. You're always kind of getting challenged.
Yeah. It's a very chaotic way of working. I'm sure it probably helps with, your performances as well to just kind of wrangle in that power of the unknown sort of, part of the
Totally.
industry.
I think if I always say, like, I think if you with directing, why I love it so much is that you are able to be part of the story, like the beginning, middle, and end. So you're part of the prep. You've 2 months or a month of sort of, breaking down the script, finding all the locations, bringing everyone together, and then you're there for the production where you're like capturing everything, and then you're there for another month of editing. So you really have this like bookend of the whole project. And it's
Yeah.
nice to feel like you are a part of the whole of something. Whereas when you're an actor, you come in and you do it's more myopic. You have this tiny little, you come in and you're like, you service the story and then you kind of leave. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of nice to be able to, be a part of something for the whole thing. Yeah.
Is that something that we've talked to a few actors, but is that something you would want to pursue more? Is like having your own projects that you can perform in, or would you rather just direct in that sense?
Whoa. Man down.
We lost an AirPod.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
No, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Actually, that's the perfect combo is when I'm like writing, directing, and acting, and it's like a trifecta. Is that a word? That's a word, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
Okay,
they turned
good.
it into a what? order home nutrition company now.
Oh, really?
Trifecta. Yeah.
So me and the Order Home Nutrition Company, we're on the same page.
Well, I will say, you brought up you go in your service the story and then
Yeah.
you leave part. The first thing I ever saw
Yeah.
you in was an episode of Supernatural, My Bloody Valentine, which is one of my
Yeah.
my favorite shows. Yeah, so that seems like, and you have that performance of just, I'm gonna service this moment. It's gonna be insane, and then I'm well, spoiler alert, dead.
Yeah.
What's your
That
prep
was,
like for co-star roles? Sorry.
oof, that was a great episode, and that was such a fun character to play. That prep was, I mean, I think that I tried to fill up like the emotional aspect of it, just because then if she actually is sincere, and then I think the performance would service the story better. So I think I tried to really sort of kind of go into that character's headspace a little bit. I think she's obviously very delusional.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, a little bit obsessed with her. I don't know if they're married. I can't remember
I
now. I did.
I don't think so. I think they went on like one date and then
Yes, so she's a
yeah.
little obsessive about her dates, and slightly delusional. And then yeah, I think working on that show is wild because it has such a huge fan following.
Yeah.
It was one of the first times I was recognized, besides doing a like a Bell commercial. But yeah, it was doing that show, and my character is in the beginning of that episode, but it's not the hugest guest star. But I was surprised at how many people saw it, and sort of yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
and it just goes to show that you made an impression, right? That
Yeah,
you
thanks.
you nailed the character and you knocked it out of the park. So yeah, after seeing that and then seeing you in like the Sabrina reboot and Netflix and then Hypnotic, a couple of years ago, it seems like you of course there's so much in between there, but what was the jump in your career going from co-star roles to getting these feature roles? Was there a moment where it just flipped, or was it kind of a ever ascending sort of hill?
I think for me, it's been a like slow build.
Okay. Yeah.
So every in the beginning, it was a lot of actor roles, and I was testing a lot for leads in series, and that happened for about 7 years, and I then needed to take a break from everything because I felt like it was always like it was one of those things where it was just not my time or whatever, but it was always between me and this other person, or where you're testing with the networks, and you're on hold, and then you get released, and that was like 7 years of that. And I got a little discouraged in that. I just needed, I don't know if it's discouraged as much as I was just burnt out from the sort
Oh
of
yeah.
the whole thing. So I took like a year off, and then when I came back, I ended up booking a lead in a pilot, and then it went for 2 seasons. So that was really good. I think I just needed sort of like a reset
Hmm.
or whatever, and I wanted to just live life as a human, and not constantly through acting. That filter of like, I think when you're an actor, or like when you're an artist, you're constantly thinking about it all the time, and everything you do filter. It's like there's that filter that it goes through. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just wanted to sort of take a year off and not think about acting at all, and just talk about other things. Like, I don't know. That's all I talked about forever. So I needed to like figure out what I like besides that, and
What did
that
you
was a
find?
journey.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Bali. Went to Bali, and I became a
Wow.
yoga teacher, but I never taught any classes. I just had the certification.
You just took the cert.
Yeah. I just was like, I could teach, but I never did. After I got the training, I came back, and I think I taught like a couple private lessons just for friends. I think they were just trying to like, throw me a bone or something,
Support you. Yeah.
support me. But and then after I did this, what happened is I did the yoga teacher training. It was so amazing. And then halfway through the training, I was like, I really don't want to be a yoga teacher, but I'm going to just keep doing this training anyways because it was awesome. I mean, I don't think you need to become a yoga teacher and benefit from the training. It's great. Being in the jungle in Bali for a month with like 30 women. I didn't know it was going to be all women, but it was. And it was fun. I made some the other one fell out. Sorry.
She's really intense with these AirPods.
I'm a hand talker and my hair just keeps brushing the thing and I have small ears. So I
Do
think
you
that's
really?
what happened. Yeah, do you want to see?
Oh wow.
They're freakishly small.
I wouldn't say freakishly small. Just we'll get you
They're
some over the ear headphones.
yeah.
No, I do that all the time. I can't even judge. It happened almost near the washing machine yesterday, so I hold no judgment whatsoever. Uh,
Thank you.
I I do wonder, is it the fact that you took your cert in Bali? Did it seem like such a peak moment in your yoga certification, journey? They're like, oh, I'm in
Oh,
Bali, but when I go back, I'll be in some sweaty studio in Culver City. Like
100%. 100%. It was like I've yoga peaked, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I think that's what happened.
But the important thing
Also,
is that you took the journey.
yeah, I took the journey and the journey was great because it became material for this show I wrote and I kind of just like put that experience into something afterwards. It was kind of nice. So
Can you tell our listeners what show that was? So I don't seem like such a weird fan.
no, no, no. It was it was called Charlie and Yoni, Life After 30, and it was about these two women in Toronto that are like kind of ripped up society's script of what life should look like in your 30s, and they're just kind of doing it differently. And one of them is a little bit of a like she's a very self-help kind of guru character, and she goes on a rebirthing journey and gets rebirthed by a very handsome um, yoga master, and that's part of her journey. We go into some weird yoga stuff, which was fun.
Which
That did
is
happen though in Bali. What happened was there was this yoga guy. I don't even know if he's a yoga master, but
wait,
keep in
what?
mind that it was all yeah, okay. So there was 30 women and we
Okay.
had not seen men in a long time.
Oh no.
And so, we're in a jungle, there's snakes, and just we're like our chakras are open, we're downward dogging, we're getting really flexible.
I really hope there's somebody
And
like just hearing your conversation in the room, huh?
I don't know what your podcast fans are going to think of this conversation.
They're
This
gonna
is
have
taking a
so much
real
fun.
left turn. I'm really sorry. We're not talking
No,
about anything to do with
this
film.
is the best part of the podcast by
Okay,
far.
so then all of us are like, woo, we're feeling ready. And a lot of moms were there, like a lot of like single moms hadn't been away from the family in a long time. Their chakras are really open. And then what happened is this guy came, he was wearing linen, like already this is the thing, and it was like moving in the wind,
Oh,
and
no.
he had like a yoga body. And none of us had the touch of a man in a long time. And he offered a rebirthing demo, and every single like he only picked one of us. I didn't get picked, but basically he he balanced one of like us, like he takes a yoga person, and man or woman, just so happen to be all women, and he'll balance you on his legs, and then and then he kind of births you through his legs. Just don't know why I'm telling you
It,
this. I regret everything. I
no,
regret the start
don't
of this. I regret the middle. I regret what's happening right now, actually.
regret nothing. That is
Oh
what
my
this
God.
whole show. What do actors do when they get together? We share almost everything. So yeah,
There were
it,
tears. I just want to tell you that there was a breeze, there
yeah.
was yoga music playing, and when she got rebirthed, she had tears in her eyes.
Oh,
Well,
Oh my god. And that's what did it, huh? That was the uh
I feel like I feel bad, but she had a great experience. I thought I was getting punked. I didn't think that this is actually really happening, but she felt rebirth, and then I was jealous that I didn't get rebirthed. So that's what happened.
I mean, it sounds beautiful,
Okay, yeah.
on like on paper, and then as you say it out loud, it's like, but that part of your brain goes, does that because it's like going to certain churches or something, if you have an
Right,
experience and you think it's
right,
bullshit and then something happens.
right.
That does sound like a beautiful moment though. So did you end up getting your rebirthing at
Oh
some
God,
point,
no,
or
no, I didn't. I didn't get rebirthed at all. I'm not against it. It wasn't, it was a bonus. It was a
okay.
bonus, a guest that came, for that one time. If I was back in Bali again and I ran into yoga, like linen yoga pants man, and he was still doing his rebirthing stuff, I might consider it just because I think I like doing experiences that are weird and not weird. Oh my God.
Oh
Let's
no, no, we're keeping that in.
help me. This
So
is
no,
just,
you like you
let's get
like
out. Abort.
you,
Abort.
you like what some people would call obscure experiences, and they're
Yeah,
not
sure.
obscure. It's just something you wouldn't expect to
Sure.
want to
Yeah.
experience. No, I completely get it.
Like I saw a bunch of healers there that were like really interesting. The book Eat, Pray, Love
Yeah.
that got made into a movie. So you can actually go to some of the same healers that were written about in the book, and I did, and it was pretty wild. Like it was such a great experience. I also was like going through a breakup, and so I was like, I'm gonna take time off and I'm gonna go eat, pray, no love. Like I wasn't interested. I was still heartbroken. And then I think, the teacher training and then all the like healers was exciting.
Yeah, it's different. It kind of separated you from that urban society, right? So you didn't have
Totally. Yeah.
any of those hangups. And no, I think that's incredible. I would kill to have experiences like that. I think the only one I've had
Well,
is getting high for the first time in the backseat of a car in college and thinking I saw a UFO. That's about as close as I get to it.
oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah,
Maybe you did see a UFO.
I don't know. There's a whole. I'll tell you about it. Next time you come back onto the show, we'll
Okay,
have a
great.
whole conversation. But you talked about thinking of life in your 30s, and I'm turning 30 in May. That's
You look
something
amazing.
where. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're
I'm having
welcome.
that Joey moment from Friends where I'm like, this isn't gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna turn 30. By the time we air it, it's gonna be first week of May, I think. But like, how did you I'll switch it up. How did creating that show help you navigate this sort of like shift in your career? Because everybody sees, 20s, that's the prime moment in an actor's career, where I see mainly it's like 30s and 40s now,
Which
so
I'm
how did that?
so happy about. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when I was in my, yeah, teens and 20s, and it was like your career's over after you're 25, but now it seems to really have shifted, especially for women.
Yeah.
There's all these incredible female characters that are written in their 40s and 50s now. That wasn't. Yeah, it felt like there's always this fear or like this race against the clock that you have to, your career is going to be over soon, so you better hurry up and do something. But I think now that there's so many more, there's a lot more content out there, a lot more places to see content, and I think there's a lot more diversity in storytelling,
Mm.
and that creates a lot of diverse characters. And I think that's a really good time to be an actor because you have you have stuff to look forward to versus the fear of your career ending when you turn a certain age.
Yeah.
So oh my gosh, you're constantly gonna have to reel me in because I don't know
No,
how to talk in a straight
I
line.
refuse.
Okay.
This is beautiful.
Okay.
We got to keep it going.
Okay. But I do think that so there's always this thing where there is this thing as an actor where you are in a certain category, like you're in the teen category, and then you're in your 20s category. And then there's like this awkward, weird time where you're not quite in your 30s to play the 30s or 40s character, and you're not quite in your 20s. And there's these shifts that happen sometimes. And I think sometimes you can feel like, oh, I'm never going to work again, or what happened? Like my career is so strong, and then I have this big lull and nothing's happening. And I think that's just the nature of it. I think as we kind of reinvent ourselves, and as we like change categories, and we also change different types of characters, because you could have mastered this like nerdy teen character that you played in your early career, and now all of a sudden you're kind of in your 30s, and that young nerdy teen character doesn't work anymore, and now you're playing dads. It's almost like
Oh,
shifting your wheel, like getting good at playing those characters now, so when you walk in the room, it's like it's you embody it already. And I think that there are, when you have like longevity in your career, you constantly have to kind of reinvent sort of your what you're good at, or your wheelhouse, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, it absolutely does. And that's something I've heard tidbits about from previous guests is, the change you have in your career.
Yeah.
Don't stop feeling self-conscious. You're doing great.
Thank you. That's so
You're-
nice.
uh it's just I thought I'd ask, 'cause when you brought up the project and having seen it, it does make sense. You do have a sudden shift, but given that and given how times have changed, what is your next trajectory like for your career? What do you want for yourself compared to maybe what you wanted 10 years ago?
Well, I think I've also just like started shifting into characters that I guess my biggest thing is I like playing characters that have a lot more depth, and um, have interesting storylines, and are part of like an interesting world. And so I would like to be a part of something that I like. I'm a huge fan of the writing and the creators and the people that are. I think the biggest thing is I want to collaborate with people that inspire me. I think that's sort of the where I'd like to go. And I just um, I would also like to still write and direct. I like being a part of a project that I'm in, and also directing at the same time. That's always nice to be able to do both. Um, and I'm doing that. I actually won a grant for a short, so we're shooting that in a month and a half.
Oh wow.
And it's also, yeah. So, and I wrote it, and I'll put myself in it, and direct it, just like the kind of the first short that I did a while ago, which opened up a ton of doors for me. I think that's the other thing for actors. I'd always say, like, I think content is everything, and when you can start creating your own content, I think it gives you a little bit of sense of control over your art in a way, because I do feel like actors are the most vulnerable, because you don't have control over it. You really just come and you give your performances, and then everyone else sort of edits it together, and they decide how it's going to turn out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I do. Is there somebody that you'd like to work with, whether it's a performer or maybe a director or a writer that you'd like to collaborate with in the future?
Hmm, that's a good question.
I thought maybe you had one in the can ready to go, but I wasn't sure.
Oh no, I probably should. I should have like a short list.
Well, I mean,
I
it's fair to not have it right off the bat, right? So you're open to that experience. You never know.
well, I'm a fan of like Paul Thomas Anderson for sure.
Oh, totally.
Um, mhm. I really loved Licorice Pizza.
I still haven't seen that. Is it really good?
I really like. I'm just such a fan for sort of like 70s nostalgia, so I really enjoyed that in the film. And I guess, yeah. Um, I I don't know. I'm trying to think of other people and things I'd like to, specific people. When I first wanted to become a director, I was a huge fan of Steven Soderberg,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I sent him a VHS. Is it VHS? A little like a tape. This is like I was in high school, of a like movie I had made on a video camcorder, and he just so that I wanted to see if he could mentor me. And for years, I wanted to work with him. Like I just really was such a fangirl of his work. Um, but he never got back to me. Also, I don't know if the tape even, I just like looked up his office, and I don't even know how I found the address, but I sent it in. I never, yeah. But so him for a long time, I really, really wanted to work with. Um, yeah,
That, I mean, if there's anybody to work with, he's like top tier, you know. That's,
yeah.
and watch what you'll work with him someday, and he'll say, "You know what? I have a tape of yours.
Could you
It's still
imagine?
in my office." No,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic answer. Yeah, it's also a weird thing to kind of say, "Oh, I'd love to work with such and such." You know, I can see how that's kind of a pretentious question, so I regret asking it. But
No, don't
uh,
regret it. I regret everything I say. So you have,
no.
you're,
Well, I'll move it on to, you know, we're kind of in the midst of, I hope, the tail end of the pandemic. So given that things are opening up, projects are, you know, back in green light position. Do you have anything coming up that you're like sealed in, or are you just kind of auditioning for right now, sending in self tapes? Do you have anything that's coming down the pipeline outside of your short?
uh, outside of that, I have something that might, another thriller that's potentially going to happen, but I'm just waiting to hear on that. And
Ooh,
then this thriller that I was just in is about to air in a couple of weeks. That's going to be fun. I think on Lifetime.
sweet.
I don't have the actual official dates yet, but they said a month ago, so that should be
Okay.
fun. Um, and other than that, and the short, just yeah, just back to writing and auditioning and things like that.
Well,
Yeah.
that sounds fun. Yeah, it's one of the better parts of this industry. You can bounce to different things, right, and have fun with it.
Well, that's exactly it. And I think when you with the directing, what's nice is that yeah, for me, I love switching back and forth because it's something that's with directing, it's more solid. It's sort of like what's also great is like one project leads to another, leads to another, and leads to another, just because um, it is like a skill set in a way. It's a lot less to do with whether your essence or your look fits the job. You know,
Yeah.
it's more your vision and your capabilities and your skill set. It's nice to sort of like take a break from constantly putting yourself out there on do you have the right hair color,
Oh,
or you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice to take a little breaks from that.
Yeah, it's almost cathartic. I'm also a writer as well, so my writing partner and I are trying to get a TV show up and going and doing all
Oh,
this other stuff
awesome.
for it. So whenever you get a rejection from a callback or something, you go back to that and you go, "Well, fuck that. I don't care. Wait, how
A
does this
hundred
person get to here?"
percent. Totally. And I mean, some of the actors that I admire the most started by writing their own content, and like you know, people forget that, but like even if you think back to Matt Damon and is it Ben Affleck, that they wrote
Yeah,
that together, they wrote it together, that they
yeah.
created that content for themselves. And I think that, you know, you forget that that's launched them, their careers forward.
Oh, yeah, and look what happened.
Yeah,
They take what, almost 30 years to get back together and make another film and
which
collaborate.
is
So,
awesome.
yeah, it's now having spoken to you, I love this question every episode anyway, but I want to know, do you have a party story that you could share with us? So a party story for this podcast is something that happened, could be non-industry related. I feel like we already had it with the rebirthing. But I feel like there could be something else there where it sticks out to you, something that happened, whether it was on set or in your personal life. It could be a good day, could be a horrible day, but something that stands out as, I'm never going to let go of this experience.
um, okay. Well, when I was well, this was kind of a party, but I was super young. Does it have to be what age does this story?
It could be any age,
Any
provided no
age?
one's murdered, and maybe.
Okay, yeah, no, everyone stays alive.
Okay, all right. Get me worried for a second.
No, 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 it's not like that. When I we had like this little like when I was in junior high or high school, when you like we had this little lake that we go to as like a party, like an after like on the
Oh yeah.
weekends party. You know, when you first start to like boys and things like that. and or girls and all the things. And I kind of just started getting boobs, but I always had like small boobs. And then I bought this bikini that like had this opportunity to put like stuffing into it. So I had put they're called cookies. Like I put these extra padding and I don't know why it was a white bikini. Like it looked like a bra and underwear, first of all, which is not a good choice.
Oh my
Especially
God.
it was very like white and pasty at the time. But I put the padding in the boobs. I had a crush on, can't remember his name, like De Silva or something. I think his name was like, I can't remember his name. Anyways, we were all walking with these boys, and my boobs were looking like they were almost coming out of the bikini, which is hard to do with small, like when you have to put a lot of padding to get that going. And then, anyways, we went to this rock part where the party was happening, and everyone's like, "Let's jump in the water." And
Oh
so
no.
my friends were like, "Lucy, you go first." And my crush was there, and I was like a good diver, so I wanted to show everyone how like my diving skills. So I dove into the water, and then like I felt like this water rush through my bikini top, and then I like realized that the cookies were like uh, came out, and they're all floating on the top of the
Oh my
water.
God.
And then I had to like surface, and my girlfriends thought it was so funny. They kept pointing out all my padding and like how I had to like swim and like for the padding and then put it back into my bra and then come out of the water, and everyone watched that happen. So that's my party story, I guess.
That
High
adds
school
up.
party story.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. It's the
that
fun.
happened last summer.
I was just about to say that's the best part of puberty is I know how to get my confidence. I'm gonna
Yeah,
fake it. Nothing
yeah,
can go wrong. Oh
yeah.
my, that's hilarious. I was very scared for a second, so I thought it was going to be a wedgies story. Have you ever jump off of a cliff
Oh,
too big
right.
and yeah,
No.
you're out for the count for a little bit. But
I
no,
didn't
that's
think I would be talking about rebirthing and stuffing my bra, but
I mean, if this
it's
is
been
what
excellent.
45 minutes gets the show, we got to bring you back for like a full hour.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I'm holding back.
well, then I'll careen over to the God. Do you have any advice you can instill upon our listeners, whether they are people who work in the industry, maybe those who are trying to start out? Do you have any piece of advice that could help them, pursue this chaotic career that we all love?
um, well, I think having an outlet that's your own is so important
Mm.
so that you feel like y- especially with acting, because you're constantly having to wait for somebody to give you the okay to then do your art. And it's so nice to be able to um, kind of like have control over that. So I always say like sometimes if there's any lull or if I feel like I'll jump back into a class just to be able to do some scene study work, and you're working on a play for weeks and then you feel like there's a party that's able to have an outlet, and I think it feeds your soul, or doing stuff that sort of like feeds you in a different way, so that with whether it's the writing like you do or another outlet that helps you sort of balance out that kind of your need to express yourself as an artist and not feel like somebody has to give you the permission to be able to do that, if that and I always like, yeah, it's also like that with auditioning. Like I love auditioning because it feels like, this is an opportunity to act. Like people are, you have this opportunity to put yourself in front of people that are going to watch something that you've put together, this interpretation of a character that you're showing people. It's also when like rethinking for those that are afraid of auditioning or don't like the auditioning process, but like kind of rethinking it as an opportunity to do what you're meant to do, like do your art and sort of like have fun with it in that way, so that you're expressing yourself as an artist. And not seeing it as I hope this is what they're looking for, or I hope this is gonna get me the job. Almost thinking of the audition as you having the job, and that's your way of expressing yourself as an artist.
Oh,
That's
that's
I think helpful for the process of auditioning.
yeah, I needed to hear that. We all
Oh,
have like
good.
odd weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh
Yeah. Especially nowadays, because everything's on self tape and you're doing this all in a bubble. You're throwing up, we're auditioning way more because it's all on self tape. They can see a lot more actors. So a lot of times it feels like it's just you alone with your friend reading in your living room. And, is anybody even watching this? But I think that reframing that and looking at it as an opportunity. Somebody's written this already. You don't have to write the words are already there, the world is there, the character's there, and now you get to sort of bring your interpretation of that, and it's a moment where you can express yourself, I think.
yeah, that's amazing. I love that. It's something that people tend to forget too when auditioning.
Yeah,
So
I think we
that's
all,
good
I
to
think
have
I
it.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. How was your self tape?
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I really appreciate you saying that. I feel like more actors definitely need to hear it, and
Hmm.
especially myself. I also
Yeah.
wanted to ask before we start wrapping up, is there anything that I can promote on our social media along with your episode? It should be coming out, well, once people are listening to this, like first week of Mayish. If there's anything that you'd be up for promoting.
Well, the other thing is I don't have the dates for the thriller that I did. I think they're
Oh, okay.
keeping the name, but it's called Disappearance in Yellowstone.
Ooh, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so there's that, and I think that's it. I think that's I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I can definitely promote that. Hopefully by the
Okay.
time this episode comes out, Lifetime has the dates. If not, I'll
Yeah,
just send everybody to the
Lifetime.
Lifetime channel.
Or just you can send them to. I think I'm gonna put something about the short on my Instagram.
Okay. Oh, so you do have social media then?
Oh, I do. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I didn't hear that part
No, oh
because
no,
I
no, no.
was
I didn't say anything about
okay.
it. It's
Oh,
something
okay.
that I always ask our guests. When I put the episode out, I have my personal page and the podcast page. So I'll put a story out, put a post out, and I like to
Nice.
tag the person in it. So if
Yeah, of
you're cool
course you
with being
can.
tagged, okay, cool.
No problem.
Yeah, some people don't really, they don't want to do that.
Oh, they don't want
Uh,
to do that? No, you can definitely tag me. So my Instagram is just my name.
oh, easy.
Um, yeah, there's two of me out there, and I have an impersonation. So go to the one that you think is me.
Oh, it's gonna be like a lot of jungle
It's
photos
the one.
and
No, like they copied it pretty great. It looks the same. It's hard
oh,
to
so
tell the
it's like
difference.
an actual replicant, like a bot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
Jesus. Okay. I'm
So
gonna
it's the
go with
one
my
where
gut
they're
on that
like,
one.
there's, yeah, go with your gut, but the photos will have comments underneath it. That's how I think you know.
Oh, she's a real person. We got
Yeah, she's a real person.
it. Well, Lucy, before I do the last thing, I want to say thank you again for having this chat with me. This was hilarious and amazing, and really appreciate you coming on board. I hope we can have you back for an
Yeah,
episode in the future,
anytime.
when your stuff's
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
The last thing I always like to do is have you ever seen Wayne's World?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, don't be
I know
concerned.
that sound.
Um, yes. Um, there's
Uh-oh.
a thing I like to do at the end of each episode where I'll count down silently three, two, one, and when I point, you have to give us your best awkward goodbye. Uh,
Oh, okay. That's already
you
a
got
give.
that?
This
Okay.
whole interview, I'm awkward.
Charming. Let's go with
Oh,
charming.
thank
It's been
you.
fun. So in that case, I'm gonna give you the three, two, one countdown, and
Okay.
then when I point, just give us your best awkward goodbye. Are you
Can I just
ready?
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do I say goodbye?
Oh, you can say anything. Some people like to say
Oh,
goodbye.
oh, I
Some
get it.
like to, yeah. It's like another part of
Okay.
acting class.
This is already awkward. Got it. All right.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Great.
Are you ready?
Yep.
And
Uh, thank Kate. Well, thanks for having me, and um, this has been fun. So hope you don't cut it all out, and Bye.